So welcome to Leadership Takeaways, and this evening I'm joined by Margaret Boukadia from Shatai Hair. Hi Margaret.
Hello.
And Margaret, as you can probably guess from Shatai Hair, is joint owner with your sister, who started up this business as an entrepreneur. You got the idea and started trialing the idea for these new organic, completely revolutionary hair products for Afro-Caribbean community 2 to 3 years ago, and then you launched the company about a year ago. So yeah, welcome Margaret, and is there anything you'd like to say before we delve into the main part of the discussion?
No, but I'm just excited to be interviewed by you. So thank you.
I think that's kind of what you said, wasn't it, when we spoke on just the quick phone call we had before? Because obviously we didn't know each other. It's just I got recommended you by another entrepreneur friend, and it was so lovely that that's your main reason for doing this is an ability to speak to another person about something you're very passionate about, and to be able to demonstrate that in this interview. And really that's the main point of these leadership takeaways, is understanding many people out there who come up with ideas, who are maybe running really successful businesses. What was it that had them start, and what is it that keeps them going? And that's really what we delve into in the interview. So the first part is we look at strategy. And Margaret, I know we were talking just a moment ago about what had you start up, but when you were discussing with me, earlier about with your sister about the plans for the business, what's your main focus when you start with a completely fresh new product to launch to the market, which is these new organic hair care products that are all about, like you say, not having chemically straightened hair, but going with the natural flow of the hair, which is where the industry is going now, and being very highly intensively moisturizing and good for the environment. Where do you start? How do you set out a plan?
Okay, so for me, I sort of focus on what are the actual needs, and I kind of sort of put myself as the customer, because I am the customer. That's how it is. My product is to sort of meet my needs, and if it meets my needs, I know it's going to meet those other people's needs. So I always think about, okay, what is actually needed? What is the most common problem that I have, and that I know as well that many people have? And that is to do with, one, that they can't find a hair product which is just completely all natural, which is very simple. You know what's inside there, ingredients that are sort of kind to the hair, and that will just make your life easier. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know it might sound like a small thing to some people, but hair is quite a big deal. Like, if you don't have...
It's a massive deal for women, totally massive.
Exactly. I could talk about hair all day. I could talk about products all day. So when I'm thinking about a new product, is what needs am I trying to meet? And and the needs tend to be what's the most common problem. And the most common problem that I find with Afro hair is, dry hair. The hair sort of dries out quite easily, or it's hard to manage. So I think of, okay, I need to have that product that will meet those needs. And also at the same time, that would also be, like I said, natural ingredients, organic where possible, and contains no chemicals, and it's just safe to use. Do you know what I mean? So that tends to be my focus. And then I try to sort of, while I'm doing that, we tend to sort of communicate on social media. So I tend to communicate with the public. So I would sort of say things out, like give advice about hair products, and like talk to them in a sort of a way, so they can sort of give me feedback, and that kind of just reconfirms that I'm sort of taking the right direction, that I'm producing a cream that actually meets our consumers' needs.
Yeah. So it's the looking for the problem, like they always say on Dragon's Den. It's finding a solution to a much needed problem. Yeah. And so you were saying, looking at the dryness, is hair growth is a big product on the market. I see adverts all the time. Is that something that you take into consideration with the ingredients and the product that you're using?
Definitely. So I always tend to be on the lookout as well for sort of oils, natural oils, and sort of reading, what do they do. So I look at what they do, and I tend to sort of hear, what people are looking for, and then I try to use these sort of keywords. But I tend to be very careful because I don't want to make promises that I can't sort of keep. Do you know what I mean? So, because like hair growth is a big thing that a lot of people say, and you find that most of the time the whole hair growth issue is not completely on the hair cream only. It's also on how you treat your hair, which is why not only do we just sort of, sell natural oils, but we also give advice in terms of how to sort of treat your hair so you can actually meet your target of i.e. get longer hair or get thicker hair or so on, or have more manageable hair. So we do both, give advice as well as provide natural products.
And you're doing the right thing, like you say. You're doing lots of kind of customer surveys, if you like, although a lot of it is done social media, but you're putting out questions and then waiting for responses on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the way to go on all marketing product research. So that with the strategy plan, there's that side. So you say you're looking for the problem out there, looking to provide a solution. But what else is guiding you? What are you sort of writing down when you're setting out this plan?
So I would say I'm a bit more sort of like a doer than actually write so much stuff down. So it literally is sort of bouncing ideas from what I'm seeing. So for example, like if I write something out on social media, like on Instagram, for example, if I don't get much response, then I know they're probably not interested. And the same thing on Facebook. But if I do, and they're sort of responding and saying sort of like, oh, thank you for the advice, or they ask me questions about my cream, then I know I'm sort of doing the right thing, and I kind of just continue on that route.
Yeah.
And what I find as well, when people start asking questions, like when they say, oh, do you do this, or can I have that? Then it's for me and my sister will start thinking about how can we sort of expand and actually sort of go further in a certain way, if that makes sense. So for example, we sort of realized the other day, people were asking like, oh, do you sort of like, give discounts at universities, or would you come to universities? So now we're sort of like targeting as well, sort of university students.
Yeah.
In our plan.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be a good market area, because it's the up and coming millennials, Z generation, who are going to be all about environmentally friendly products, products good for their hair, etc. So perfect target market. And again, like you say, not writing things down. You've got to find your way of that works with you. Lots of people might be they learn and take on board different ideas by writing or by learning, touch and feel, like you say, by doing.
Yeah.
So you've got to find what's right for you. And I found that in working for myself, is that you read lots of different books and you've got to take on board different elements that suit your style. So how do you work with your sister? Does that work?
That's quite interesting, because obviously she's my sister, and then all of a sudden now we're sort of working on a business together. So it's like recently I find sort of 90% of our conversations just on business now. It's kind of changed the dynamics almost. Yeah, it's quite fun. I love the fact that, yes, we're sisters, but we're kind of a little bit different in terms of she's sort of more about visual, about the way things look, whereas I'm a bit more about content. So I think we work quite well together. So for example, like doing our website, our shatai.co.uk, our website, I'll be focused on, oh, it has to have this information, it needs to say that, it needs to say this. And she was like, oh, it needs to look like this. So I love the fact that we bring in sort of different skill sets together.
Yeah.
And then as well, I think working with my sister is quite good because we're sisters, we can be a bit more open with each other. There isn't any of that trying to sort of learn or gauge about each other. We say what we think to one another. And it's,
yeah,
I would say it's a bit more easier because, like when you're starting a business from the beginning, things are a little bit fuzzy in terms of roles. But I think because we're sisters, we're able to sort of communicate better, and we sort of realize actually maybe you should do one area more and I should do another area.
Yeah, so, exactly. Specialize in what you're best at. So what type of targets have you set each other? Because I know obviously you're part working in a full-time job while you're funding this, which is a great way to do it. And again, something I would recommend to a lot of entrepreneurs who watch this video, that the temptation is to go full straight into the idea, but actually it's a great idea to have a backup plan and support yourself with another role till it's totally fully functioning. So what targets have you set yourselves, like, you know, in 6 months we're going to be here, 3 months we've achieved this? Where are you at?
Targets are very interesting. We set ourselves targets all the time. So we must achieve this, because basically the plan was by December, you know, we'll stop the day job and just fully focus on Shatai, but that actually doesn't look like it right now. So we're always sort of like reviewing our targets, if you like.
Yeah.
But so at the moment we review our targets, but at the moment, in terms of like the way we work, it's sort of more in terms of activity. So if you like, you know, can you send out this number of posts, for example, on Instagram daily? There's like a timetable, like, can you do this? And then for me, it'll be sort of like, okay, I need to sort of play about more product development, you know, test it out, and with the idea of, let us try and have a cream ready by so date, so then we can test it, you know, officially, and then we can test it out with a group of, you know, focus group, and it can be on the market. So we sort of,
you keep staging it. Yeah. You have a mini target, and you'll get to, and this is again something I'm learning as a coach, that all the different targets I'm setting myself with all my projects for my business is, you then have to put a new parameter in, because once you've started on that journey of researching that product and launching that product, it then actually goes off on a different sort of different path that you'd expect it to, because you receive this response in from this person and this person, and actually you can't use that technology, and so you have to start using this, and like you say, so then you have to reset the parameter, and I think that's natural, that it's about getting in action, having a vague goal where you're going, and then moving the goalposts.
Definitely. I've actually realized that I have to be flexible with the goals, because at the beginning I used to be quite disappointed, like, oh, I should have been here by now. But the truth is, sometimes things just happen, and you end up having to sort of, like you said, review the plans and having to make changes. And at the same time, I have to remember that I'm actually learning each time. Do you know what I mean? So even if something doesn't come to plan and it doesn't happen when I wanted it to, I'm actually learning from it. So it's not like wasted time.
Exactly. It's definitely, I think it will, like they say, if you get that thing where it's a hiccup or something, or you don't quite manage to get there, as if you've learned from it, it's not a mistake. And then if you learn from it and then put something in action from that learning to allow yourself not to have to learn it again, then it's not a mistake, because then you're now you know, you've now got that added skill and knowledge, which will take you to the next level. So with all of that in mind, then the other area that we do look at is strengths and weaknesses. So with you both and with the business, what do you think at the moment you could say are your strengths and weaknesses?
It's always easier to talk about weaknesses, isn't it? I literally have to sort of remind myself of myself. Yeah. My mentor said to me, whenever you have an achievement, make sure you write it down, because a lot of the times we always sort of remember our weaknesses, but the truth is we've got a lot of strengths.
Yeah.
But having said that, I'll start off with the weaknesses. I'll say probably the weaknesses is, because we're launching we have a hair business. My background is not actually hair. My background is in insurance. So there's learning so much. And so because of that, it's like a lot of trial and error in terms of making the creams. And I'd also say probably another weakness is that we've had to learn quite a lot with the whole marketing. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of, we can engage with people, like engage with our consumers, but it's actually getting them to sort of, to convert it to sales. It's a lot of work, and it's not as fast as we would hope. So that's what I would probably would say is the weakness, is just the fact that I've sort of had to learn so much in terms of like the marketing skills, as well as learn so much about ingredients and product development.
Yeah.
In terms of strengths, my strengths, I probably would say my optimism. That I'm quite positive and sort of like a go-doer. Do you know what I mean? Because it would have put a lot of people off. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I can't do this," whatever, and they'll come up with so many different reasons. But I was just sort of like just focused and determined. I know what I want to do. I'm going to produce all these creams. I'm going to set up a business, you know, and that's what sort of just kept me sort of going. Just my optimism and my willingness to sort of learn new skills.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I think that definitely came out for me in our conversation before this recording, is that I would have said you the way you seemed, you would not be deterred from this, even though, like, you know, it's quite a flooded market in the hair industry with organic, natural, amazing new products, that focus on the strength of the hair, and you know, all of that is. And also you're facing competition from big brands who've got big bucks to pour into lots of marketing. And as you say, if you're faced with this whole marketing business where a product looks really nice because the packaging is very expensive, a lot of people just will tend to go for packaging. But what you've got is a great product. So for me, the fact alone that you've got that determination that I am going to keep going because I know that this is a product that is needed, that I needed, and I've spoken to many other people, and I would agree with you with that type of product. Totally is needed, and there's a niche for it. So I would say that's, in starting a business, that's the biggest, most important strength you can have. The other strengths of understanding market, business strategy, operations, product knowledge, marketing, sales. I don't think you could understand all of those. I mean, I had a lot of those skills, but I sometimes had the doubt, you know, of, gosh, you know, what am I doing? But actually, through coaching myself, I managed to see that actually this is truly what I want to do, and to reinstill in myself that I love this. This is my passion. I'm going to keep going, you know, because I love it. I care for people, and I want them to get what I had. And that's the biggest thing, Margaret. That's the most important strength, I would say, in a business.
Thank you.
No, it's pretty. Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to need a lot of it.
I know.
Because, you know, you've told me about all the hairdressers and the big salons you go in, and then they'll say no, or they won't be convinced, or they want to see your marketing reputation, and you will get a lot of that. And the
time, just like you can see already it's improving. So, and I'm learning so much from it. And I know, because a lot with hair products, there's a lot of it is about word of mouth. So I know as people are liking it, and I'm getting people now, because one thing I wish I'd known earlier was about the importance of feedback. So it's just recently now sort of getting people to actually sort of write their feedback in a sort of common place so everyone else can see it. Because I know people tend to buy when they see visual feedback and they know feedbacks.
You're totally right, and that's something we were discussing, wasn't it? It's about getting all the distribution streams going. So distributing through, you know, the customers, distributing and speaking to the hairdressers, speaking to suppliers, speaking online. And once you've got all these channels going, and like I said to you, that you just keep it going, and then momentum will click in when you've just kept it going enough, like you're saying, got enough referrals, enough word of mouth, and people know that you're sticking in there. I think, like you say, if you keep going back to somebody, they know that you're serious about yourself, so they'll take you seriously. So it's great. And you know, good luck to you, because it's tough being an entrepreneur, and everyone sees the entrepreneurs who've succeeded, but they've been going like 10 years or something. Nobody sees the 10 years that they kept going. But and then the other part we look at is resources. So what would you say is your main element that you look at when you look at the resources? Because obviously with your business, resources are products. What's the most important resource right now for you to concentrate on? Getting the product right, getting the distribution channel right, or what do you think?
question. Like, what's the most important resource?
Yeah.
It's quite a difficult one. I can't decide if it's the product or the distribution. But
or is it you and your sister? Because you and your sister are a resource. You're the company employees.
in some ways, I probably would say it's time. It's the
Yeah.
resource. Yeah, because one of the downsides is it's the fact that we need to work in our day jobs doing it. So it kind of doesn't give as much time as we would like for the business. So it's trying to get as much time as possible, you know, a lot of late nights, unfortunately. So whenever we got spare time, you know, we're really sort of just working on our, our product, working on trying to find sort of more distributors. But the main thing is time. I think that's probably our key resource, is just finding enough time.
So I would just ask you then, if time is like the critical point of being able to maximize your resources, because like you say, your resources are limited. What would you say then is a way that you are looking to then really focus that time? What's going to be your way moving forward that you could utilize your time effectively?
I would say right now I'm sort of thinking about whether I can sort of reduce my hours further in my employment.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way, like as you mentioned, because I've got quite 2 young children, so sort of balancing being a mother, and then I've got the day job, which is taking up a lot of time, and then it's just like my business is tired. I can work on, it's not really that much time. But when I do work on it, actually, one of the key things about not actually having much time to do your business is that you become super efficient.
Yeah.
That little time that I do have on Shatai, I have to say I do quite a lot, because I'm actually part of a mastermind group. Because what I've realized as an entrepreneur, I actually need other entrepreneurs to speak to and sort of bounce ideas. And whenever I'm with that group, a lot of them are sort of working on their business full time, and they're always very surprised how much work I've actually got done in the little time that I've had. So I would say that sometimes the lack of something actually makes you super, super efficient.
That was another thing I was going to say, is that time is an illusion. A lot of coaches that I've read up on will say, when other people go, oh, I haven't got enough time, it's actually just a case of prioritizing maybe, and just making, with the small amount of time you have, focusing on the most important things and making the most effective decisions. So I mean, obviously I'm not like trying to put words into your mouth, but I get that as a mom and in a full-time job and running a business as an entrepreneur, you do actually, there could be a bit more time needed to spend on Shatai hair. But at the same time, as I say, from what I read, I think it is just learning by experience that, okay, if I've got 24 hours a day, and Richard Branson's got 24 hours a day, and he still manages to run hundreds of businesses. So how does he do it? Well, he's learned over 10, 20, 30, 40 years to prioritize the areas that he needs to focus on and not worry about the others.
Yeah,
so
that's one thing I've had to do, because I remember before, okay, it made me super efficient, which is brilliant, but I remember before it used to really sort of bother me quite a lot. I couldn't get so much done. But so one thing I have learned with little time is, 1, to be more efficient, 2, not to stress out about everything.
Yeah.
And focus on the priority.
Yeah.
What's really important, I would sort of generate more sales.
Yeah. Kind of being more present, I guess. That's something I've learned to do, is that we can only focus on what we're doing right in this moment, rather than worrying, like you say, about all the stuff that does need to be done, or all the things that you haven't done before, or whatever, or kicking ourselves. So I think in relation to a person who hasn't got children and who hasn't got a full-time job, you have less time. But obviously, you are Margaret, and you still have 24 hours a day. So it's, I think, from what you were touching upon with your mastermind group, it's learning to by the sounds of it, you have other people who are mentors to you, who you can bounce ideas off and bring a higher level of thinking to prioritizing and just going, don't sweat the small stuff. Is that what,
basically?
Would you say that?
Yeah, that's definitely what I've learned. Well, I don't really have a choice. I have to, I have to not sweat the small stuff. I don't really have time to even be worrying about the fact that I haven't done it. I just need to sort of focus on what is really important. I have to do it right now in this time frame that I have. And then, yeah, and it's just so important to be part of a group and be getting ideas and bouncing off ideas from people and having mentors. I find that has really, really helped.
It sounds like you've really grown.
So I find it very, very encouraging as well, because you know, like as an entrepreneur, it's kind of a little bit lonely. Even though I work with my sister, but it is a little bit lonely. So sometimes it is nice to sort of have other entrepreneurs to sort of say you're doing well, or they give you sort of motivation, or you just sort of, like I said, just bounce ideas, and you just sort of get an idea from an outside perspective. You know, sometimes you're sort of in it. Sometimes you can sort of forget to sort of step back and take a look from the outside and see what is really going on.
Yeah. Sounds like you've learned a lot in these last couple of years about yourself, what's possible about business.
More so than as an employee. More so, sort of thrown into everything. Do you know what I mean? As an entrepreneur, you
have to fall down, don't you? You have to keep falling down and getting back up and then going, oh, is that what that was? I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, exactly. And it helps when you sort of talk to people, because you become quite reflective as well. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you just sort of go through stuff and you don't know what's going on. But if you sort of talk about it, sort of reflect, and it sort of helps you sort of realize, okay, maybe I won't try that, or maybe I should do this, and which helps.
People as a mirror, yeah, it's a very important thing to do. So on the last area that we look at your insights, your learning, and obviously we've touched on some of that. You use a mentor kind of mastermind group. Where else would you say that you kind of get your learning from about, you know, how to be a good business person and what works as products and, you know, development? Various
different sources. So like you said, so obviously you've got the mastermind group, and I also have a mentor. And then I also tend to read business books as well. And then also on Instagram, I also tend to sort of sign up to different groups. They just give advice and little quotes here and there. I basically read everything, and listen to everything, just to sort of, I'm always trying to sort of improve, always in so many different ways, as well as sort of hearing what's going on in the hair forums, signing up to this, signing up to that. So I'm always trying to sort of improve in different ways. And I think you have to, do you know what I mean? You have to, different sources.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
If you just focus on one place, you may not, you're only just growing in one way, but if you sort of try to sort of get input from different areas, I think it, in a way, it probably makes you a bit more rounded.
Yeah. Totally. And sometimes you never know where it's going to take you. You just follow a certain thread that interests you, and then it will recommend another book, and then they'll recommend a certain person, and then I'll be watching YouTube or be watching a webinar or what, and then it just follows you through to another completely different area or a skill that you didn't realize that actually is very useful. So I think you've got to kind of listen to yourself and listen to your instinct. Do you find that?
Definitely. And like I said, when you do sort of read stuff, it does kind of just take you to different places. And also you find that you kind of get advice from other people as well. So like sometimes I listen to sort of random YouTube, I just search stuff, depending on my mood, what's going on. So for example, if I feel like I need a bit of encouragement, then I'll listen to sort of like a motivational speaker. You know, and that will sort of keep me fired up again. Because I find that as an entrepreneur, it's important to surround yourself in things that will, or put like an environment around yourself that will push you. Yes. If you don't, you constantly need things to push you. So so which is why I try to sort of hang out with other entrepreneurs, which is why on YouTube I try to listen to sort of motivational stuff to sort of encourage me, which is why I tend to read books so I can sort of learn more about how other successful business people are doing things.
So, okay, so I have a challenge for you. How would you say then you deal with obstacles and things where you're feeling really down and you've tried that lovely motivational video and it just is not working? What would you do if you're hitting the wall a bit? What would be your recommendation?
I feel like I hit the wall quite a few times. But yeah, when that has happened, normally it is listen to a motivational speaker and speaking to people, and that actually normally quite like works for me. Like the other day, what was it? I think I was a bit I got a little bit down just because I wasn't able to do everything I wanted to do. I had like a new product, and you think, oh, I've got a new product, I'm excited, yes, it's in the market, but there's so much you have to do. There's a lot of sort of articles you need to write up now, and you need to, do you know what I mean? It's not just you have new products on the website finished. There's so much that goes along with it. And I started to feel a little bit down because I was like, oh, this is going to take a long time. And I remember, so I did the usual stuff, YouTube. I spoke to my husband about it. My husband's very supportive. He's also an entrepreneur, so that helps. So he was giving me advice. And then I think I spoke to my mentor about it as well, because I was still feeling quite down. And then she sort of opened up about herself, about issues that she's going through right now, and she was just like, but I'm just going to keep doing it, I'm just going to keep doing it. And it was just that one line was enough. It was enough for me to sort of say, yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. If she is going through all this stress as well, and and she's just doing it still, and she doesn't really know how long it's going to take, or she's going to fix it or whatever, she's just still going ahead, why can't I? Do you know what I mean? I'm just gonna, do you know what I mean? Don't sweat on like, oh, this is going wrong. Just focus. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And that's actually what helped me the other day, to just sort of just keep on.
I have that all the time, where every day I make myself read even just 10-20 minutes of a book. I mean, I listen to Audible, so I have my headphones in, take the dog for a walk, and I just wait for my little bit of, it's not even like inspiration. It's not that I'm waiting for someone to make me feel happy, because I get now happiness comes from within, and you can't just expect outside to plug into inside. But it's just part of my everyday habit that I know I need to be reading something new, just because I need some new thoughts in my head every single day. Because if I don't put the thoughts in my head, my thoughts will go in, I'll get stuck in my head. So I need to put new input. So and it's very similar to you. So it's not like necessarily the inspiration, but you just want to listen to some new ideas. And like you say, something washes over you, and then it clicks with where you're at, and you just hear it from that other person, and it's all you need, because they'll just say something in a certain way that relates to what you're going through. And you're just like, they get me, and they're still going, so I'm going to still go. And that's all it takes, is just that connection, whether it be through a book, or meeting somebody, or somebody just smiles on a walk and says, hi, how are you doing this morning? And it's just that human connection, relatedness. They get me, I get them. I'm just going to keep going for it. I think it's just us, we go insular, and then when we get to be a part of the bigger thing, it just spurs us on again.
Exactly.
So I'm hearing you there, and it sounds like you've got a great husband who is brilliant as a support as well, and a good mentor. So that's kind of what you do when you hit a wall, which is good for others to know, because as entrepreneurs, as sole traders, there's ups and downs, and so that's kind of the insights learning section. And I think we kind of know where your future focus is going, and I think there's great things there for you, Margaret, because you've got the right attitude, you've got all the right structure in place. You're working with people around you, and I just want to hear back in a year's time when you're the leading product in the niche part of the market, and And I would love to do this interview in a year or so's time when that is the case, you know. So
I would love that too. I would love to hear from my future self now.
well, yeah, I mean, it's like what they say, what you focus on grows, and you know, speak your future. But it's not just about positive mindset. I mean, I was listening to Marshall Goldsmith today, and he just said the book called The Secret, and he said it's a pile of rubbish. He said it's sold about 3 to 6 million copies or whatever it was. It's, you know, it's not just about going, oh yeah, I'm going to have the best product and whatever. It is putting it into action and then building the types of habits and behaviors that will consistently get us doing the right things. And like you say, making the course corrections. So we know what our behaviors and habits are of us as an entrepreneur and what's needed to get the product to market. And you know you're going to hit those blips and have to change and rechange course correction. So yeah, I think that's all part of it. I mean, is there anything, you know, would you want to say anything else that we haven't sort of covered?
I can't remember if I've touched on that, but so, you know, like being an entrepreneur, yes, you get your lows and you get your highs as well. But one of the things I remember my mentor once told me is to actually sort of write down your achievements. So whenever there's an achievement, sort of write it down. And it doesn't even have to be a very big achievement. It could just be maybe you've made a decision, you know, like you've made a positive decision straight, you know, like, you know, write it down. And that will sort of like help you to sort of, you know, like sometimes on the day-to-day stuff, when you sort of review it, that will sort of help you sort of spur you on and to keep going.
Yeah. No, I agree, because that's something that I've started to do is I do that. I've got a kind of mentor buddy partner who I use, and to her every day I'm stating what are going to be my daily goals and then reviewing them. And then every sort of 4 weeks or so, I'm writing my goals for my next campaign and what are my next kind of goals for the next month, 2 months. And that's something, like you say, that I've started to review. And then they are off on some of the timings, because then I have to remake new timings, because the set action I decided which would lead to that goal is not going to lead to that goal. I need to do this now. So I think there are ways of measuring yourself and setting those goals. And you're absolutely right in writing them down. Are you saying about writing goals down or writing achievements down?
Writing achievements.
Achievements.
Yeah, writing down achievements. So it could be something like I got a good review today, or something like that.
Yeah.
I was able to produce this today. Like, I sometimes find that writing these things down, and when you sort of like review it, like in the future later, and you sort of review, like, oh, it kind of just sort of makes you happy. Like, I am progressing.
Yeah, and I think that's something I've started to do, but not consistently, and definitely something that I could do more of. I agree with you there, because another thing that Marshall Goldsmith was saying today was he has a list of kind of, I think he said about 20 or 30 behaviors that he lists as kind of sort of behaviors that he would want to be as a person. Like, have I done my best today to be kind, to not criticize people, to not judge people? Have I done my best today to grow my business goals? And all these different behaviors of him as he sees as a best person to other people and his business. And yeah, that like you say, some of those are, I've received a great review today, therefore I've done an action to grow the business. So it's all good ways of reviewing what actions we're taking and what results they're getting. So I do truly believe that is where we start to shift the business, when we consistently start to measure. And as I say, that's something I've been doing on more of a weekly, monthly basis now, of measuring but not consistently doing on a daily basis, which is what he recommends. And I don't know whether your mentor recommends doing it on a daily basis, like kind of measuring.
When it was just as and when, whenever something good happened, just, you know, write it down so you can sort of look back at it later and like just sort of like, because there was a thing that, like I was saying, because of the time issue, sometimes I felt like I wasn't progressing enough. So that's what the advice, write it down like what you've achieved, or write down the achievements. So that way when I'm feeling sort of like, oh, I haven't progressed much, I haven't done anything, I haven't, you know, it's been a month and nothing's happened. When I look back, I'm like, oh, actually, this has happened and that has happened. So it's not as slow or as bad as I think it is.
And that's exactly right. I mean, I totally agree with that, because like you say, we're consistently beating ourselves up for, you know, we see this really crazy perfect picture in the future that will never happen, because even if we achieve whatever it is, we'll still want more. And that's something I did the other day with my my mentor buddy. I wrote, she asked me and I wrote it all down, what I'd achieved in the last month or so, and I looked at it and I was still like, yeah, but I don't feel that that's good enough. And it's just like ridiculous. It's like, even though I knew I'd done all this stuff, I was like looking at it going, well, yeah, but that's still not what I said I'd do. It's like, oh, how bad are we? You know, and there's just a little gremlin inside me that's my little beat me up gremlin. And
yeah, I don't know why we have it. I don't know. But in some ways it's good because it kind of motivates, I suppose, to keep going, to keep doing more.
I guess so. But like you say, for some of us, it's about enjoying what we've achieved. You know, like, I think if you can't enjoy the small steps, how are you ever going to get there? Because you just give up because it seems too big, like you say. So it's about breaking it down to individual stuff as well. Yes, keep yourself motivated and keep going. But yeah, not beat yourself too much in the process. When you know, like you say, you have to change course correction and things like that. So, but yeah, it's been such a great conversation, and you know, taken us off into areas of discussion that has been really useful for me. So thank you, Margaret, for, you know, for both of us reviewing what works and doesn't in our businesses, and sharing with other people that they can get something out of it too. And I had a little appearance from my son, because I didn't mention that we were recording this video. I've built a garden room, which is just about to be finished in my garden. So I will be doing all the recordings from there. So I'll have no teenage appearances. But thank you, Margaret, for... Thank you for your time, and we all hope to hear from you and Shatai Hair being a mainstream brand on the, you know, the Afro-Caribbean hair market very soon.
Definitely. Thank you for your time, Rachel. It's been fun.
You're welcome. You're welcome.